results are very consistent. Okay, but it goes faster, and it helps with some of my application licensing, and it really has got an impact on power, cooling, space, and efficiency. But how does it really create some of this business agility? What the heck is that anyways? Okay? First thing is every terabyte of storage I create for an application, I have somewhere between 5 and 10 terabytes of copy data. What the heck is copy data? Another one for a test environment. I need a third one for training. Oh, this group wants another training instance, right? And that 1 terabyte quickly becomes 4 or 5. Use a healthcare, and by the way, it's expensive when you're just buying it in brute force infrastructure. Use a healthcare example. Epic is another one of these examples where I've got a training, a test, and development. I might have 10 or 12 environments, one for the nurses, one for the doctors, one for the clinicians, one for operations, et cetera, et cetera. And this copy data problem spirals out of control. Now, there are vendors that focus just on this, but now I've got multiple companies, multiple organizations, and interoperability challenges in doing that. What if the architecture just handled that? Just handled the copy management problem? And again, architecture first, we've really started to solve for a lot of these challenges as well. So here's the example I just showed you on the left, right? 1 terabyte of production, dev, test, QAs, 4 terabytes of real life data. Inline, all the time, based on architecture, I'm doing compression, deduplication, and thin provisioning. So through thin provisioning, I actually only use what is in that container. I create a terabyte container, but I only have 500 gigs of ones and zeros. I've got a wasted 500 gigs. So thin provisioning, I squeeze out all that waste. Then I take that 500 gigs, I make all those copies, I do them in memory, I do them instantaneously, and I do them with almost no additional capacity. So a tenth of a gig, a tenth of a gig, a tenth of a gig versus a terabyte, a terabyte, a terabyte. And then I take what's left, I compress it, and I deduplicate it. So if you look down here, what started as 4 terabytes in the old world is 265 gigs, or a 15-to-1 data reduction. This is crazy. And all I had to do was move from the old to the new in a pretty non-disruptive way. You guys know VMware vMotion, it's a pretty simple technology to get stuff off of old gear onto new gear. And then obviously we've got tools endemic to the array for maybe more complicated operating systems that make that as non-disruptive in nature as you replatform this stuff. But think about the relationship IT had with the application developers, which you guys haven't noticed have pretty much kind of a lot of power, right? These guys are the ones that are introducing the new feature release, the new code, the new capability. Who's asking for that? The business. So the business asks for the new release. The application developer is saying, waiting on IT. Why are you waiting on IT? I don't know. I requested a copy 2 days ago. That's just the process. In this new world, I literally can create self-provisioning to my application developers. They can instantaneously get a copy. Oh, it's scary. I don't want to do that. Well, why? It's instantaneous. There's no performance impact, and it takes up almost no capacity. Whether they make 1 copy or 100 copies, it really doesn't make a difference. Again, the right architecture enables some of these business process changes, which creates agility for application developers that ultimately gives IT a better brand with the line of business. Okay? And again, we talked about quick return without a lot of complication. These are quick wins for IT that have pretty profound impacts across the environment. So the next natural question here is, okay, I get the architecture thing, I like the benefits, but I can get this from maybe a lot of different vendors. What is unique outside of architecture about your story from a Dell EMC standpoint? And we recognize that this market is moving and changing very, very rapidly. So we really have launched about a month ago what we call the Future Proof program. Now, the first thing we offer is that when you deploy any one of our all-flash technologies, we stand behind it with a 3-year satisfaction guarantee. If it doesn't say what we say it's going to do, we will fix it. If we can't fix it, you get your money back. 3 years, not 30 days, not the first quarter you have the gear, not on the first one, on every one, on all of them for 3 years. We say it's going to do what we say it's going to do. The second is, it's very difficult to go figure out all these data efficiency conversations. We made this very simple. If you follow the best practice, you get 4-to-1 data efficiency. 4 terabytes become 1. Right? 75% reduction in what I use. We don't require an assessment up front. We don't require really complicated legal T's and C's. You just follow the best practice, you get this outcome. Okay? The never worry migration, we talked a lot about this, being able to get from old technologies to new. It's built into all the products. Hardware investment protection is big. You can sign an enterprise licensing agreement or a transformational licensing agreement with us to protect software investments. But what about the hardware? Right? There's still some value to that stuff as time goes on. What happens if you bought a mid-range system and 2 years from now you didn't anticipate your growth, or you acquired a company, or you want to do something different, now you need an enterprise class system. Or maybe you want to move to a different architecture altogether, like hyper-converged, because you're deploying VM or vSAN in more places. Okay? We actually create tangible trade-in value for any of the investments. By the way, you don't have to do anything. Just by buying the all-flash product, you're entered into this hardware investment protection program. You can trade in old controllers for bigger controllers on the mid-range stuff. You can trade in the mid-range stuff for enterprise stuff. You can trade in old mid-range stuff for newer, bigger mid-range stuff. You can trade in mid-range or high-end stuff for hyper-converged or software-defined stuff. Creates a ton of investment protection and flexibility for customers that have a hard time predicting what the next 3 to 5 years look like, especially with the consolidation, acquisitions, and evolving role that IT plays in a lot of these environments. The days of a la carte software are gone. You guys bought from EMC or Dell in the past. We had a line item for everything. Our quotes were 400 lines long. They were hieroglyphics, and it took hours to get through them. Those are done. All-inclusive software. You buy the product, you get the software features with it. And in some cases, we give you a little bit more than that, meaning we've got some unique things on path management at the host level, PowerPath. We've got some things that integrate data protection, ProtectPoint. We've got some other things that allow you to integrate to the application framework, like AppSync. Right? We actually seed some of those additional products around the array so you can have them and experience them, and where it makes sense, deploy them more pervasively. And then in all these products, we have this enterprise class managed cloud. VirtuStream is one of the most successful SAP managed cloud companies in the world. They're going to do about $1 billion this year, and they really create the public cloud for those spinal fluid applications. They're really mission critical, important ones that are very difficult to move to a public cloud. Right? These are the SAPs, the Oracles, and the Epics of the world. Part of that VirtuStream storage cloud you can use to replicate to back up to snap to. And you actually get 20% of the capacity you buy in VirtuStream's cloud to enable some of those cloud use cases and workflows. So this future-proof program, we think, is very attractive for customers who want to do business with Dell EMC, to leverage the architectures and to get the outcomes that I had on the previous slide. Now, I talked a little bit about the enterprise licensing agreements. We don't call them enterprise licensing agreements. We call them transformational licensing agreements, and it's not a marketing term. What this means is, when I buy licensing on a Symmetrix and I want to move it to data domain, no problem, no penalty. When I want to move licensing from a data domain to an Isilon system, no problem, no penalty. We literally create transformational agreements so I can move and leverage software across the bigger portfolio. The intent here is to say, if I'm a number one in everything all in one place, I've got this huge portfolio of products, we want you to go more all in with our technologies. We're going to create bridges and levers that allow you to do that and maintain the investment, both in hardware with that investment protection program and in software with a transformational licensing agreement. And oh, by the way, as a public company, I complained about this for years. We were getting crushed specifically because we didn't have a lot of consumption models. I want it utility, I want it on demand, I want it consumption. I'm publicly traded, I have to recognize revenue tomorrow, today, right now. I can't afford to capture it over a 3 to 5 year horizon. Those days are gone, and a lot of my public company competitors, and all the big ones are publicly traded, don't have that capability. So you tell me how you want to consume it. You want to consume it as CapEx or OpEx? You want to consume it as utility or consumption? You want to consume it in a managed service? Those are all options and features now in the larger Dell technologies that didn't exist in the previous world. From a product standpoint, I'll kind of just run you through the 3 or 4 tenets of the product portfolio. On the high end, right, this is our mission-critical solution. This is what the largest banks, largest hospitals, and largest organizations in the world are deploying their infrastructures on. The reason they're doing it this way is, in addition to everything I just talked about, the right architecture, the storage loyalty program, the ability to run a TLA, ELA, and maintain the investment protection, is I can really do a lot of advanced things from connectivity, mainframe, iSeries, open systems, all in the same frame. I can do advanced things from replication, synchronous, asynchronous, cascading, multi-site, multi-continent, very complicated data replication capabilities, and I'm delivering 6+9 availability 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the mission-critical solution in customers' environments. You don't have to look much farther than a very large healthcare provider based on the West Coast. You can fill in maybe some of the blanks there. It's the largest implementation of Epic in the world. Pre-VMAX all-flash, 3 to 25 milliseconds of latency. Post-VMAX all-flash, less than half a millisecond of latency. They're leveraging one of those sticky technologies I talked about, where I can integrate data protection. So between our best-of-breed data domain portfolio and that primary storage portfolio, I've created a bridge that allows my backup data to instantaneously be protected. I don't have to pump it up through my application servers, through a backup server, and then ultimately land it on media. This technology called Protect Point in this large customer took a 17-hour backup window to a 3-hour backup window, took restores from many hours to instantaneous, because I can literally read the restore from the backup target. There's that level of integration between the technologies. So a really, really powerful story, not just on all flash, but on the connection and integration with the rest of the portfolio. This is a mainframe example. It kind of highlights the capability for data services like advanced replication and copy management. This particular customer takes 3 million snapshots a day of their mainframe environment. Replicates the 3 different, oh, okay, interesting. From the high end, we really have, kind of a secondary high-end offering in Extreme I/O. And this is one of the most capable platforms for virtualized or virtual desktop environments. There's all these data services inline in real time with no trade-offs and no performance penalties. Moen is a great example here, where they've literally taken their SAP wait time down by 3x, and they've reduced 70% of the time and money they spend on floor space. We just launched a whole new line in this product family we call Extreme I/O X2. And wow, the good just got a little bit better. It's bigger, it's better, it's faster, and it's substantially less expensive than its initial predecessor. So a really, really powerful story in Extreme I/O. And we go all the way through to the mid-tier storage offerings, kind of the small and medium enterprise offerings, right, in Unity and SC. One optimized for flash in the mid-range, one optimized for hybrid. Because by the way, there are customers that still have workloads and use cases where that data point and that price point makes sense. And we can offer that with some advanced software capabilities like non-disruptive upgrades and non-disruptive migrations that allow you to run a large mid-range storage environment. And we just made that mid-range environment that much better. On the Unity line, we introduced non-disruptive upgrades from older controllers to newer controllers online in the system, and we integrated deduplication in addition to compression, which it had. And then in the SC line, we packaged it into an all-flash offering. It was very much a hybrid-centric solution. We packaged it in all-flash. We've included that all-inclusive software capability and have done well in the mid-range space. And when we talk about data protection, I gave that example in a large healthcare institution, whether it's in the array, that instantaneous copy management story I showed with the shadow copies, whether it's within the data center, that Protect Point conversation of instantaneous backups in a large healthcare organization, or whether it's across multiple data centers in an active-active, we've got that software suite, right, that really allows you to do all of those things. And a lot of those softwares are included in the purchase. Okay? And then lastly, we talked about cloud briefly, but it's flash where you need it and it's cloud where you don't. So the ability to replicate, to connect, to archive, to drive workload here, whether it's block workload, file workload, backup workload. We'd love it to go to VirtuStream, and we've got actually a really compelling financial model to where it makes sense. And by going to VirtuStream, you get a lot of the security and compliance things that maybe are more in question with some of the other public scenarios, but you can more than certainly go to public cloud providers if you have them in your existing ELA with one of these companies and want to deploy and leverage them as well. It's a very open ecosystem. So back to that study, I said customers want to take these architectures, these go faster, go smarter, these flash architectures, they want to package them up more quickly. The way that we do this is through our converged platform solution. You guys know the vBlock technology, right? We were really first to market with this in 2009 and 2010. And we're the runaway leader in converged architecture. I think vBlock makes up 55 or 60% of the converged market. Obviously, it's a huge partnership and integration with Cisco at the compute network layer of that converged architecture. And then as you might expect, that will probably have additional options, right, as time goes on. But that's all 3-tier, server network storage, more traditional 3-tiered architecture. Customers are also saying, how do I take a 3-tiered architecture and simplify it even more? I want to hyper-converge. I want literally a server that does my compute network and storage on its own, right? And I want to use an x86 commodity piece of hardware, and I want to run intelligent software on top of it. We do that with VxRack and VxRail. So there's the family portrait. Those are our children. We have the traditional storage on the left, We have the convergent, hyperconverged on the right. We have that storage loyalty or that future-proof program across the products along the bottom. And a natural question customers ask is, where do I start? You talked about a lot of stuff, and you talk fast. Sorry, from Ohio. I was in Texas about a week ago, and I really was talking too fast. Florida's a little bit easier. But look, we've got a really great framework here for assessments, right? If all you have is the hammer, every situation is the nail, right? When you have a full tool chest, which I just gave you just a little bit of insight to, you can be very prescriptive on solving customers' pain and solving customers' problems. And what we do is we take an approach that looks kind of similar to this. We look at your current infrastructure. We benchmark all the things of your old world on the left. We look at things like, is it right for storage? Is it right for converge or hyperconverge? Is it right for software defined? And then we create a framework on the right. To me, this is two sides of the triangle, technical, operational. You got to give this to your boss or your boss's boss or someone who signs the ultimate check. And you need the financial leg of the stool as well. We've automated this through about 3,000 of these that we've done in this calendar year alone, where we look at the technical operational on the left and the assessment, and then we build out the full financial lens on the right and the TCO ROI. It's not a 28-page PowerPoint, it's a one-page document front and back. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have the attention span to read 25 slides, so we try to keep this really crisp and really focused at the economic buyer in your accounts, and we can help build these more quickly. And you can take them and make them your own and dress them up the way you need to for your internal process. But man, this really creates time to value for how I can get this through a decision process. So with that, I really appreciate everyone's time. I hope that was enlightening in some ways. And I'll look forward to talking to you for a few minutes after the presentation today. Thank you.
Juice, before you run.
Yep.
Small token of appreciation here from ITPalooza for the fast talking but always ever wonderful conversations for contributing to ITPalooza 2017. So thank you very much for everybody who just said it. Obviously,
thank you.